Coming up this week, the Buffs' lofty dreams of a 10-win season all but shattered in the Glass Bowl.
And here comes the Buffs going in for a strike.
Can you say blowout city in the Big 12? Your roundup ahead. This is CU Sports Mag.
Hello and welcome to CU Sports Mag. I'm Kylie Horner, sitting alongside Andrew Tomasini. So Andrew, we have quite a good show in store for us today.
Oh, we sure do. And after week one's debacle that was the Rocky Mountain Showdown, lots of people were calling for Coach Hawkins to be on the hot seat. Well, after Friday's performance in Toledo, he sure was. Let's take you to the highlights now. At the Glass Bowl, late in the third quarter, action here, capping off a 13-play drive, 60 yards. Cody Hawkins to Jason Espinoza. Great play right there. Outstanding play here as well. Credit Kent Rydell, special teams coach for Colorado, receiving the 69-yard kick, his freshman wideout, Julian Bellinger. And unfortunately for him, looks like the symptoms might show that he has the swine flu because he coughs it up. And Jimmy Smith recovering the fumble here. Now we actually will take you to the score. Final score, 54-38 Toledo.
Off the turnover, Cody Hawkins fake lefts and connects with Ryer Gear with a 4-yard pass to Gear, leaving the Buffs under 37-24. The crowd cheers, and Toledo is so happy, but unfortunately the Buffs can't seem to keep up.
Cody Hawkins was 30 for 64, netting 356 yards. Darrell Scott, 12 carries, 85 yards. Great game from the highly touted running back, Darrell Scott, finally getting on the board in a big way. The offensive line is going to be looking a little different this Saturday with Ryan Miller moving to right tackle. Miller usually plays right guard but is stepping in for Bryce Givens, who's sitting out Saturday for personal reasons. This isn't the first time Miller has played tackle. He started at CU as right offensive tackle before his 2008 season-ending injury. CU's coaches have decided who will take Miller's spot as right guard.
CU football is trying out something new on Saturday by going old school. The players will don uniforms from the 1937 season, a year in which running back Byron White was named CU's first All-American and led the nation in rushing. The jerseys will be gold with black lettering along with silver pants. The field and end zones will also bear resemblance to the 1930s and recognize the 150th anniversary of the city of Boulder.
Colorado's failure to impress on the football field through 2 weeks has turned up the heat on Coach Dan Hawkins in his fourth year. However, financial insecurity is helping Hawkins maintain his job security under the terms of Hawkins' contract. CU would owe the coach up to $3 million if it were to replace him at any point this season. The athletic department is already deeply in debt as it was forced to borrow to raise the money needed to buy out Coach Gary Barnett's contract. The contract was very huge, and the current national economic climate has led to a cut in state funding and a number of layoffs within the department.
So we've got a lot going on in the Big 12, don't we now?
Yes, we do. We're going to take you to the Big 12 roundup right here, kicking it off with Texas at Wyoming from Laramie. And here we are. Texas quarterback Colt McCoy drops back, hooking up with James Kirkendall within 24 seconds to go in the first half. Kirkendall will do the rest, taking it to the bank for a 25-yard score, 13-10 Horns at the half. Taking it to the third quarter now, Walls crashing down on quarterback Austin Samuels. Dustin Ernest, sack me, second of the day. Texas in full control here at this point, sealing the deal. McCoy to Childs, 26-yard touchdown pass untouched. Texas rolls 41-10.
And here we have Sam Bradford hanging out on the sidelines. And now, one team left to play in the first quarter. Sooners quarterback Ryan Boyle drops back, makes the connection with Landry Jones for a 51-yard bomb, making it look easy. This puts Oklahoma ahead 21-0. Here on their way to a blowout in the rain, Sooners' DeMarco Murray breaks away with a 3-yard run, only 1:18 left till halftime. leaving Oklahoma with a win 64-0.
To Lubbock, Texas we go for what turned out to be a straight massacre. Texas Tech quarterback Tyler Potts, setting up the shotgun, dumps it off to Eric Steffens, who scampers in for the 34-yard score. After that, the puppet master showing no remorse again. Tyler Potts making it look easy. 36 for 57, 456 yards on the day, and his 7th touchdown score here with ease to Tremaine Swindle. And after that, if things could not get worse for Rice on the day, the Texas Tech defense just as strong as the offense. Chris Perry meet Ryan Lewis, sack you and see you later. Final score, Red Raiders 55, Owls 10.
So that was great Big 12 there that we saw.
Yes, good stuff from the Big 12. And following,
Ohio.
yes, exactly.
Very
well,
good.
Listen, we're going to get you to the trivia question soon. And the best thing about the trivia question
it's gonna be
is
an interesting
it should be a good one.
I couldn't figure it out.
And what we want to do about the trivia question is
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. We're going to get you the trivia questions right away. The trivia question, what is the oldest record on the books for CU sports? Stick around to find out the answer to this question later in the show. After the break, we're going to send it to Double Team Set, where David and Amanda will be talking a little bit about the Buffs' loss to Ohio.
And then we'll look at the women's volleyball highlights against Nebraska.
Let's sit down for a second, okay, sweetie? Hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Kayla. Come and play.
Oh, sweetie. Why don't you go play with those kids over there?
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
Late night studying? Relying on caffeine to keep you awake throughout the day? According to researchers at Brown University, a shocking 89% of college students nationwide struggle to get the necessary 8 hours of sleep recommended each night. Getting a full night's rest promotes a healthy immune system, supports memory function, and restores energy. Sleep is not a waste of time, and sleep deprivation can have serious negative effects on your academic performance and social life. 8 hours. Get some.
Dude. It wastes energy to leave everything on. It's simple. Just turn it off before you go to sleep.
Do your part. Be energy smart.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Mag. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, but now we have Amanda Blackwell and David Starcer on the desk.
Yeah, the duo will be talking a little CU football, so how about we take a look?
I'm Amanda Blackwell, sitting alongside David Starcer. And, you know, David, I don't think anyone's going to argue with us when we say that the Buffs are not exactly where they expected to be at this point in the season.
I'm not going to argue with you, and I doubt the rest of Buff Nation is going to argue with you. It's definitely been a sloppy and subpar season so far. And, yeah, it's time to get things turned around quick if they want any chance of salvaging the rest of the year.
And there are some signs that that is a possibility, that they could salvage the rest of the year. They're probably not going to win those 10 games that they were promising to win. But if we look at Cody Hawkins, he's a very intelligent quarterback. He's not the most physically gifted, but he is out there completing a lot of passes. He's fourth in the conference in passing, and you say that may not necessarily be a good thing, and I'd agree with you.
It depends on what kind of spin you put on it. You know, from a positive standpoint, yes, it means that the passing game's going well. Although if you throw the ball 60 times a game, you're bound to complete some of them. The receivers have looked good. Guys like Gear, the tight end, and Scotty McKnight, Mr. Consistency, as we like to call him around here. But on the other side of it, this team was supposed to be about smash mouth football. 4 running backs, each of which has a unique skill set that they can bring to the table. And it was supposed to be each guy getting a lot of playing time a game and running the ball 30, 40 times a game. And you're not seeing that this far. A lot of that has to do with the defensive struggles, snowballing into the fact, well, the play callers think, well, we got to call more passing plays in the second half because we're down 21, 28 points. But I'd like to see them revert back to the running game that was so hyped in the offseason.
And there is something to be said about even if you are down, I mean, guys like Scott and Stewart, those are some of your most talented players on that football field, and they are definitely capable of wearing defenses out and getting you back into a game.
Scott in particular looked great against Toledo, 12 carries for 85 yards. The thing again about it, though, is it was all in the first half. The second half, he didn't touch the ball once. No, there was maybe some lingering injury problems. Both of those guys have been reported to be a little bit banged up. Hopefully they'll be in full health for the Wyoming game, but I don't really see any reason why they shouldn't turn to those guys more, especially when it's, like I said, the thing that they're supposed to be talking about all season long.
Yeah. And, if they do continue to feel the need to throw those long passes, fortunately, the receivers have been playing well. True. They have been on that end of the football to receive it. Guys like Scotty McKnight had 114 yards in the last game against Toledo. Jason Espinoza had 109. Marcus Seamus should be back this Saturday. We've been hearing about him for the last 2.5 years, and he's yet to step out onto that football field in a Buffs jersey, but he should be there on Saturday. And with all 3 of those guys out there, you could see a really explosive offense.
We hope to see that. And from Seamus' standpoint, like we said, 2.5 years in the making his Buff debut against Wyoming. If nothing else, he gives the team a kind of a deep passing threat that they've been lacking this year. Guys like Andre Simmons and Anthony Wright have shown flashes of that. Each one has caught a deep ball in the first 2 games, but Seamus is supposed to be a starter, and maybe if he stretches out the field a little bit, that'll give Eric Keesaw, Dan Hawkins, and the play callers on the sidelines a chance to open up the playbook a little bit and do some things on offense that they haven't been able to do so far.
Yeah, and on the other side of the football, the defense is really seeming to struggle so far this season. Yeah. Last year, this was a defense that, was very competitive and looked very good, and we come into this season and all of a sudden, something's completely changed.
Especially from a passing defense standpoint, that was supposed to be their strength this season. In the secondary, they had 3 returning guys from last year and Ben Burney all coming along, and last year they were first in the Big 12 in passing yards allowed, and so far this season they lived anything but that. Especially Burney, he's gotten torched a couple of times, and when that's supposed to be the strength of your defense, and that's looking like the weak link, you can only imagine how bad the rest of the defenses look. So if nothing else, the upcoming game against Wyoming will be a good barometer for this defense because they run a spread offense just like Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma State and all these other teams that we're going to see for the rest of this year. So if the defense can step things up, then maybe that is a good sign that things will get turned around for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and the rest of their schedule is not unmanageable. They're playing a team like Kansas State, who is just struggling as well. They have to play them in Manhattan, Kansas. But they're playing teams that are also kind of in a similar position where they thought they were going to be a lot better at this point in the season, and just they're struggling a little bit too.
The Big 12 in a whole is probably a little weaker than it has been in years past. I know Oklahoma took a big hit with Sam Bradford going out and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the schedule pans out. They do have the one other non-conference game left after Wyoming, which is them going to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. They're, of course, not the same team that they have been in years past, but Noel Devine, their running back, is a great player. So that's definitely going to be a hard game, and I think this game might be the make or break game for the rest of the season, because if they go 0-3, it's going to be really hard to turn the ship after this.
Yeah, and at the same time, I don't think it's time to call for Dan Hawkins' head yet. No. I don't think that he's going to be fired. I don't think that's a feasible thing for the university to even do. But in this last week alone, we've seen a lot of past coaches, Bill McCartney, Gary Barnett, come forward and support Dan Hawkins, saying that, they were in, especially McCartney, he was in a similar situation in his career. And Gary Barnett says that, you need to be more patient with your coaches. They've had 3 coaches in the last decade. And, you have to stick with a coach to be successful. And, that's something CU hasn't been able to do.
From a fan standpoint, all we can do is wait and watch and see what happens. And hopefully the Hawk can get things turned around for the team.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on Double Team, and we'll send it back to the desk.
Thanks, David and Amanda. The volleyball team wrapped up the CU Invitational with a convincing 3-set win over the Cal Poly Mustangs. CU finished 2nd overall in the tournament with the win, behind only San Diego. Sophomore Rosie Steinhaus led the team with 14 kills and was named to the all-tournament team as well. CU dominated the first set, winning it handily 25-19. After Cal Poly got off to a quick start in the second, CU countered with strong defense from Steinhaus and freshman Nikki Kinzer, who each had 4 blocks. Junior libero Ellen Henry added 11 digs, and CU pulled out the second set 28-26. The third was more of the same from Steinhaus, as she was over the net on offense and defense, and the Buffs finished the sweep with a 26-24 win in the third. CU finished non-conference play with a 5-4 record, the 21st consecutive season they've been above 500 going into the Big 12 play.
This past week, the volleyball team traveled to Ames, Iowa to take on the 10th-ranked team in the country, Iowa State. The Buffs' Rosie Stonehouse came out swinging, recording kills on the night, and Becca Fogel was close behind, recording with 8 kills. But Steinhaus and her teammates' performances were all for naught, as Colorado lost in 3 straight sets, pushing their record to 5-5 on the season. It won't get any easier for CU as they return home to face the number 8-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers and number 2-ranked Texas Longhorns this weekend in the Coors Event Center.
CU volleyball skills will be tested Saturday. Number 8-ranked Nebraska will be rolling into town. The Cornhuskers are coming off a sweep of Texas Tech in their Big 12 opener. The win brings their record to 8-2. After a tough loss to Iowa State, the Buffaloes will look for the motivation from the team's only senior, Caitlin Burkett. Burkett led the team in assists against the Cyclones and will look to repeat that performance against the Huskers.
After recording a team-best 32 kills and 23 digs in the Colorado Invitational, one could say Rosie Stonehouse had a pretty good tournament. Her performance was definitely good enough to earn her the title of CU Sports Mag's Athlete of the Week.
As a team, we really played well. It was great to have some personal kind of, plays and good things that I did as well. But as a team, we really came out strong, and we definitely showed some top teams who we are. Big 12 is definitely one of the toughest conferences in the nation, so we're just excited to play at a high level and show how we can play. Just want to keep moving forward and keep helping my team out any way that I can. So, I'm Rosie Steinhaus, CU Sports Mag's Athlete of the Week.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about soccer and send it over to Luke Rosenmeyer with the Marshall sisters.
Salt is to pepper as gregarious is to...
Oh, no, not more SAT
I have
questions.
a camera turn
In ancient Rome,
that says
salt
to
was
go
a
to
form of
1
currency.
and then go
True
to
or
2.
false? False.
So I'm
True.
Son, can you locate sodium?
Or chloride?
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
You have 3.5 grams of salt and a 5-gram slug. What's the rate of shrivel?
In America, you are not required to offer food to the hungry or shelter to the homeless. There is no ordinance forcing you to visit the lonely. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to provide anything for anybody. Thank you for all you've given. Imagine what more could do.
Welcome back. The Utah Utes came to town to face off against the CU women's soccer team last week at Pent Up Field. Colorado's Erin Bricker started off strong, taking the lead 7 minutes into the game. This marked the freshman's first career goal as a Buffalo. The Utes managed to put a point on the board early in the second half, but it wouldn't be enough to hold on for the rest of the game. With 3 minutes left, Colorado took the lead on a playoff of a direct kick from sophomore Kate Russell. The win marks CU's 7th of the season, and they hope to keep the momentum going into the Big 12 conference games. The 20th-ranked University of Colorado women's soccer team struggled on the road in a 3-1 loss to number 14 Florida last Sunday. Although CU outshot the Gators 4-3 in the first half, Florida's defense was strong as they held the Buffs to just 1 goal. Sophomore Kate Russell prevented a shutout as she scored her first goal of the season for the Buffs late in the second half.
This coming Friday, the CU women's soccer team will head west to take on the number 3-ranked Stanford Cardinal for the Nike Invitational. On Sunday, the Buffs will play number 12-ranked Santa Clara. Both Stanford and Santa Clara will come into the tournament strong with victories against teams like Purdue and Notre Dame. These matchups should prove challenging to the Buffs after their last loss 3-1 to Florida last Sunday. Peyton and Eli, Serena and Venus, Nikki and Shay. Quite often, athleticism runs in sibling pairs, and CU's team now boasts its own example. SportsMag's own Luke Rosenmeyer reports on this phenomena from Print Up Field.
Nikki Marshall has had an illustrious four-year career at Colorado, becoming CU's all-time leading goal scorer and one of the greatest buffs to take the field. However, in her final season, Nikki is ready to pass the torch on to her freshman sister, Shay. I caught up with the Marshalls to discuss their relationship and the outlook for this season.
I remember when I was in middle school, she was here, and I've always just wanted to be a CU buff, and so when the time came around, I decided to come here. Mainly because of her too, so we could play together. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's cool having her as a role model, especially being my sister. I mean, we're pretty close, so she's a great leader, and it's just cool to have her here.
It's definitely not awkward. It's awesome. I love having Shay here. It's so great, seeing her on the field with me versus on the sidelines with the rest of my family. And she's a great player, and I'm just excited to see how she grows and contributes to this team.
I think our dad is a big factor in us playing soccer.
And I think it was definitely competitive. We'd go out and play 1v1 against each other all the time, and our dad would be like, "Oh, you're gonna let her beat you," just the whole typical supportive, crazy soccer dad style.
While the Marshall sisters are standout players on the field, two players do not make a team. We talked to them about what the Buffs need to do to win the Big 12 championship this year after playing second fiddle for so many years.
I think as a team goal, we've been so close. Every year I've been here, it's been, second place in the Big 12, second place in the Big 12 tournament, and we've never quite, won it. And I think this year could be the year, and I just would really love to leave winning a Big 12 championship, getting another big poster to put on our field. Staying consistent is so important. We got to start with the first one, stay healthy and compete, and I think that's the biggest thing in the Big 12. You just got to compete.
The Buffs have their work cut out for them this season as they prepare to start the grueling Big 12 schedule. However, if the Marshall sisters can continue to put the ball in the back of the net, there is no telling how far the soccer team will go this year. Luke Rosenmeyer, CU Sports Mag.
Good luck to the Marshalls and the rest of the soccer team this weekend at the Stanford Invitational.
Now that the football season is back in full swing, students are refreshing their football knowledge. Christine Corrado went on search of that knowledge, or lack thereof.
To find out what students actually know about the basics of football. And what better time than lunch at the UMC?
How many yards are in a football field, including end zones?
50.
120.
There's 100 yards. 50?
100 yards. Plus 10 in the end zone.
In a game, what happens when there's a safety?
A safety? The quarterback gets tackled in the end zone?
How many total players are allowed on the field at any given time?
Oh, I have no idea. More than 10.
I think there's around 11. 5?
Personally, what would be your ultimate mascot?
Probably a badger.
That would have to be something ridiculous. Like nothing that made sense, like a giraffe. Yes. A dragon, because it's powerful and breathes fire.
I don't know. Eagles are pretty cool.
I think the buffalo is pretty awesome. It's a pretty mean animal.
Judging from the responses we received today, it looks like our students may have a little work to do on their knowledge of football facts. I'm Christine Corrado for CU Sports Mag.
Thanks, Christine. The University of Colorado cross-country program received good news Tuesday following the release of this year's preseason rankings. The men's team ranked 6th will return 3 seniors to the lineup in Jordan Kyle, Kenyon Newman, and Seth Demore. Ranked 21st in the country, the women's team will count heavily upon returning senior and Olympian Jenny Behringer. Behringer, who redshirted last year, will look to continue the success she had before the 08 season. Hosting the second of 2 meets, the Buffs will co-host the Rocky Mountain Shootout on Saturday, October 3rd. And coming up, we're going to take a look at this week's trivia question and check in with Jenna Browder with this weekend's weather outlook. Stick around for more CU Sports Mag.
Hey!
Hey, girl!
How are ya?
Good. I'm so excited.
Forget something?
No.
If you're gonna sit, you need to strap.
Well, excuse me while I strap this on.
Thanks.
On Tuesday, the CU women's golf team placed 9th in the CUSU Ram Fall Classic with an 883 total. Leading the team was sophomore Emily Talley with a 218 total that tied her for 17th place in the individual standings. Freshman Taylor Doyle was not far behind with a 7-stroke improvement that moved her from 57th to 35th individually. Coach Ann Kelly was proud of the Buffs' performance but sees much room for improvement. The Buffs will be back in action for next week's tournament on September 19th and 20th.
Now that you have been searching your record books, let's get back to that trivia question. The question was, what is the oldest record on the books for CU sports? And the answer is, on October 19th, 1935, Kyle Lamb held the record for longest average rush at 32.3 yards.
Well, we're going to go kick it to the weather desk right now and check out what's on tap for this weekend. Jenner, what do you say?
Quiet in the studio, please.
Thanks, guys. And so this last week we had wonderful weather with warm temperatures and clear skies. And so I can report that this week it'll be even better, and we will take that weather right into fall. And so taking a look at our national map, we have a low pressure system in the northwest, which is could bring us cooler temperatures next week, but I'm not too worried about it for this week. And then we have a high pressure system for this week, which means clear skies and, even more importantly, warm temperatures. So taking a look at our temperatures map, we are blue and purple in Colorado, and so that means we'll be in the 50s and 60s range for this weekend, so that should be absolutely wonderful. Taking a look more specifically at Boulder, you can see that our high is 74 for Thursday with a low of 50 and clear skies, and then those temperatures should remain pretty consistent for the rest of the weekend. And then on Friday, we're going to cloud up a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. The weekend should still be wonderful. So for those of you that want to get outside and do something outdoors, I recommend Rocky Mountain National Park. The crowds should finally be gone, and they have an average of 70 for their high this time of year, low of 39 and clear skies. Another place to go would be Nederland near Boulder. They also have a high of 70, low of 39 for this time of year, and also some great hiking trails as well as campsites and that sort of thing. And then our last site for today is Kenosha Pass, and they have an average high of 64, low of 31 for this time of year. And it's absolutely beautiful up there, so I really recommend that drive. And they also have hiking trails and that sort of thing. And so anyways, I recommend that everybody get outside this weekend if they can. The weather is going to be absolutely beautiful. And go support your Buffs. They are playing Wyoming, and it is the last few days of summer, so just get out there and enjoy the weather.
Well, thanks, Jenna, for that weather update. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, perfect weekend for football, hiking, camping. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a great weekend to support the Buffs against Wyoming, and also just to get out in the mountains if you can, or if you're just going to sit out in your backyard, it should be a great weekend for doing that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jenna. Kylie, great job. And for everyone else here at CU Sports Mag, good luck to Colorado this weekend as they go on to take Wyoming, and we'll see you next week.